Hey guys. How are you today? Instagram is doing something interesting with my live. So, hey guys, we are going come on in. We're going to be talking about how to up level your self-care and also your self-growth routines. And I am so excited about this topic on today. If you guys have noticed, this week we've been talking a lot about your self-care routines, and we have also been talking about your the difference between self-growth and self-care. And so just give me a minute here with there we go. We had some technical difficulties. There we go. All right. So I want to get into today's topic because I don't want to hold you guys long. I do like to go with the flow when I'm talking about self-care and self-growth routines. Hello. Hey, y'all. Hey, Tamara. I see you guys. I do like to go with the flow, but I also like to keep like a structured time. So I don't think we'll be on more than 30 minutes on today. But I wanted to share with you guys just some things that have been coming to me more recently about how to up level your self-care and your self-growth routines. First off, I'm going to start by communicating the difference between self-care and self-growth. And of course, this is my definition. This topic is in a lot of places on the internet right now. So when you come to my safe space and my container with this, I'll give you my definition. And self-care to me is doing activities that bring you life and that also nurture or nourish you, right? And if you watch my last post, it was a reel that I did with a quick snippet in case you want to go back. This is the more extended version. Self-care is about those activities that are just, they animate you, right? They make you come alive. Very often your self-care routines will be a bit different than your work, right? It's different than your work. It may be different than any role that you hold in your life. All of that stuff is external. Self-care is about starting to bring your attention and starting to bring your energy back to you, right? So those activities may include going shopping. Those activities may include gardening or going to shop for flowers. This weekend, I know I did some shopping for my front porch. I wanted some new flowers for my front porch. And so I did some shopping there, and it was very, very life-giving. I actually learned a lot about the use of silk flowers and fresh flowers and all of that stuff. Hello, hello. Another life-giving activity may be you going and having fun on a date, right? So if you are still in the dating scene or if you are married, I suggest that you date regardless of your status, unless you're healing from a relationship. Sometimes you may take a break from dating if you are still healing from maybe a bad breakup. But outside of that, if you are in a long-term relationship or a marriage, or if you are single, you should go on dates that excite you. You should look to have fun regardless. I don't think on dates you should go, if you're talking about the self-care perspective, I don't think you should go on dates, expecting somebody to be your husband or for the date to go all of the way. But practice bringing that part of you that is full of life and that's nourishing. I know for me, date night is a must because that is one of the ways that I replenish myself. I like to do fun activities, try new restaurants. All of those things are, in my opinion, listed under self-care. Going to the spa. I mean, there's so many. And what I want you to do as we're talking and as you guys are coming in and out for lunch is I want you to put your ideas and some of the things that you do that are really nourishing to yourself. We're going to get into how do we up level these activities. We're going to get into how do you up level these activities at a different moment in this live. But I also wanted to define self-growth. So self-care gives me life, it nourishes me. Self-growth is a bit different, right? So self-growth is these are the activities that you do that help you shift your mindset and they help you shift your emotions. Self-growth does not always feel good, one of the things about self-care and in distinguishing the two is self-care is all about what feels good, right? It's all about tapping into things that just really make you come alive. You love it. You would light up. You enjoy it. Self-growth isn't always that. Sometimes when you're doing self-growth activities, you may, meet those parts of yourself that you're not as happy with. You can meet emotions that you're not as comfortable with sitting in, because the purpose of self-growth is to make you really sit down and tune in and become, super aware of who you are, right? And so when I think about self-growth activities, I'm thinking about journaling. I'm thinking about, going to therapy, right? I'm thinking about those activities like you're here with me with Lyndosha at lunch, and you're getting journal prompts. You're coming to my page and you are reciting affirmations when you see you really struggle with a certain emotion, maybe anxiety, or you struggle with being frustrated with a certain relationship or whatever it is that really has you not showing up as your best self, whatever area of life you're struggling with. If it's your finances, you're kind of taking that veil and you're peeling it back, and you are deciding, I am going to address this issue because I see that it's holding me back from my next level. And self-growth is all about, let me get down in it and shift my mindset, shift my emotions about this thing, or even hire a team of people in order to help me grow in this area. So for me, I'm really big on doing both self-care and self-growth together. In the morning, I typically focus more on self-growth in my morning routines. I've done several morning routine videos, either writing it, but I don't think I've ever done one where I kind of show you guys what my morning routines are. And we'll have to go through that. But I typically use my mornings for my daily time with self-growth. I check in with myself. One of the main questions I ask myself most mornings throughout the week is, Lyndosha, what's going on beneath the surface? That's a big way for me to start my self-growth, just journaling and opportunities. And so I see that, yes, about falling into alignment. One of you guys is saying, I'm falling into alignment once you have yourself exactly where you need to be. Self-growth and self-care, once you focus on those things, yes, things do fall into alignment. My bad. I'm trying to read again with the color that IG has on the screen. And so absolutely. So self-care, self-care and self-growth are two of the main things that you can proactively do in your life in order to bring yourself in more alignment with what you believe your desires actually are. Your soul produces desires for you, these things that are like those things that you truly, truly want in life. And a lot of times it's very hard for us to stay in the space of our desires, of just naturally what comes out of us that we want, because we have had these hiccups along the way in life. And self-care and self-growth are literally what you do proactively to get yourself back into that space where you are just like, oh my gosh, this is who I am. I'm showing up, being my light self, and I'm showing up serving in a way that's most naturally and most authentically who I am, right? So I know for me, I'm a feminine essence woman. We talk about that. You guys know I do personal coaching around women who have struggled with embracing their femininity. Partly for me, mine came a lot because of work. I work in a very masculinized industry. And so that part of me, I kind of shut down for a while and had to really do work to revitalize it, and also learn how to lawyer from my femininity, right? From that part of me that does nurture, that does grow, that does build relationships. Not that men, I'm not saying men don't do this, right? Because we know that femininity and masculinity are not necessarily tied to your biological sex. But femininity is that part of your energy that knows how to rest, that knows how to lean back, that knows how to welcome people, that knows how to advise and to give instruction without taking away the power of the other person, right? Femininity is very much so about your ability to receive, and it's also about your ability to surrender. So you may give, and number one, you haven't overgiven where you're drained and tired. That's generally a more masculinized way of doing work because of testosterone, right? They can give and give and give and seem like nothing's wrong. They have this abundance of energy. But femininity pulls back a bit, right? And it gives, but it surrenders. If you decide not to use the advice, it's not like feminine energy isn't going to hold a grudge. Like, I already told you what to do. Why are you doing that, right? You know, some women, if you know people like that, comment in the comment section. If you know people who give and it's like, girl, I didn't know I was gonna have to pay you back for this, right? I didn't know, sis. So we've defined the difference. I want to go ahead and keep moving forward. The second thing I want to talk about, once you understand the difference between self-care and self-growth, I believe you should develop a routine around these things, right? You should develop a routine or ritual or a certain set of habits. And so I want to talk about just in general, how do you do that? I'm going to be giving you tips in this live on if you're at level 2 or level 3 as it relates to your self-care and your self-growth routines. However, I do want to make sure you guys understand the 4 levels of each of these areas. So the first level is if you're starting, right? So if you're starting, you're a beginner with your self-care or your self-growth routine. You are typically maybe not even doing activities right now. If you look throughout your life and you kind of take an inventory of your day and you have no time where you have sat down and rested, if you don't have any time in your schedule where you have, you know, taken care of your skin, your skincare routine, if you have not, you know, you don't have anywhere in your schedule where you have a set time set aside for your, a lot of times your bath routines or whatever that's more on the self-care side of things. If those things are not in your schedule at all, then you're probably starting or you're a beginner, or you may not be a beginner, meaning in a season in your past, you were very on top of it. You were very on top of your self-care and your self-growth routine, but something happened, a divorce, a bad relationship, you got a new job, and you sat it down. You also may be back in the beginner stage. And if you are starting, then the thing that I want you to do is I want you to have fun, right? That's the only thing you need to remember about this particular live. You're not necessarily, in my experience, ready to up level. Now, you can try some of the up level techniques that I'm going to talk about, absolutely. But right now, you just need to get back in the place where you're consistent as it relates to actually putting yourself back on your schedule. And this is a very needed conversation for many women. Don't feel bad. I have had to start over several times. I love it. Have fun with it. Yes. Yes. So I'm always going to advise you from that feminine place of how can we make this easy? How can we make this fun? This is about restoring ourselves. We can leave work where work is at. This is about restoration. So have fun with it. I know for me, I've had plenty of times in my own journey whereby I've had to restart my self-care journey. One, I would say, of course, if you're a younger girl, maybe you are 16, 17 watching this, if you come across this as a teenager or even younger, because kids have phones now. So I don't know, maybe you're 9 or 10 these days. But if you're a child, maybe you have not established a good self-care routine, or like if you're a little girl and you're raised by your dad or something and he's just like not comfortable with this, then you need your self-care, and your self-care routine or your self-growth routine should be all about fun. What is enjoyable to you? And you're just listening and exploring this to hear ideas of what's fun. So I also, as an adult, had to restart, and I literally mean this. I had to restart my self-care and my self-growth routines. I would say restart. I still shopped, right? Because that's just something that I love. And I was like, law school isn't taking my shopping. I shop every Friday with one of my best friends from law school. But after passing the bar, you guys, I recognized that I was eating terribly coming out of law school. I had about 25 pounds that I wanted to lose. I was so focused on my career that I had heavily neglected things in my life that I had never neglected. And so don't feel bad. We've all been there. Restart, get back on, do what you have to do. The second stage, when it comes to up-leveling, we can go ahead and start talking about up-leveling with the second and third stage. So if you're in stage number 2, that means you have learned how to maintain your self-growth and your self-care journey, right? You have a certain amount of time dedicated to your journaling. Maybe you have a therapist that you meet with regularly. You have a life coach for different things. I know I typically, fall into the Femininity life coach. Let me drink a little bit of water. I got a new tumbler that I shared with you guys. Earlier this week or last week? A new little Starbucks tumbler. You guys know I love Starbucks. Let me take a moment and get some water. But if you are in stage number 2, you are maintaining. If you're maintaining, that means you're consistent. You're consistent with those activities that give you life. It's on your schedule. You are also consistent with those activities that help you shift your emotions and your mindset. You're pretty good at that work. If a coworker comes and disturbs you, your whole day or week is not messed up. You're able to bounce back pretty quickly because you already have these tools in place. At stage 3, you are definitely in your up-level stage, meaning you have been maintaining your self-care and your self-growth journey probably for a few years, right? So for me, I would consider myself at stage 3, which I passed the bar back in 2012. And after allowing myself to go that far into a dungeon, it said, "This live is amazing." Oh, thank you. I have to send you a Starbucks gift card. Yes, girl, I am here. I love my Starbucks. Also, you can do the buy me a coffee. It's linked in my bio if you want to add to my Starbucks habit. I love it. It's one of my favorite places, right? But thank you so much. I received that so much, sis. But if you're at stage number 3, then you are ready to up level, right? And so I was in stage number 2 for a while, just resetting. But at stage number 3, this is when your self-care and your self-growth routines literally almost outweigh the negativity, the drama, the pettiness, all of that lower, the people now, I think they're calling it like low vibe energy and all of that. You have invested so heavily when you're at level 3 in your self-care and your self-growth routines that each area of your life is almost at the stage where it transcends a lot of the negativity, right? So I'm not yet at the 4th level. The 4th level, as it relates to how I teach this material, is a woman who has legitimately transcended. That's where I'm going, okay? That's where my mentors are. They have, each of my mentors in business, in femininity, in self-care. I do have mentors in all of these levels. They have transcended in every way, right? Their investments are, one of my mentors in terms of my real estate investing, he's not clearly my femininity coach. He's one of my financial coaches, and uniquely one of my real estate financial coaches. So he helps my husband and I as it relates to our real estate investments. But he has bought and sold thousands of units of real estate, right? From apartment complexes to houses to commercial buildings. He's transcended anything that most of us could even think about when it comes to real estate or all of that kind of stuff. And I want to get to that level, maybe in the area of my finances, but those are where my coaches are now. But in terms of level 3, I am very much so the person who, I can be around pretty much any type of negativity and it doesn't shift my internal environment, right? If something triggers me, I notice it immediately. If it's a deep trigger, I have a team already set up to help assist me with like, okay, what's going on? Or I am advanced enough now where I can work through my own triggers, through steps, through courses that I've taken, and I can get recentered and refocused back on the life that I'm building, right? So that's when you're at level 3. And then of course, level 4, kind of touched on it. That's when you're a master. And the masters are in terms of self-care and self-growth. These are the people who are divinely creating their self-care and their self-growth behaviors, like, meaning these people do stuff and it's just like it came straight from God. You're like, what in the world? So one of my femininity coaches, she is, I say coaches, but she's more of a mentor to me than a coach. But either one, I think you can use those words interchangeably. But when it comes to her self-care routine, it's like a whole nother level, right? So the rest of us are maybe taking like a bath, and we have our routines that we do with our bath. I know I listen to music at a certain sound level. I also do sound therapy whenever I am engaging in anything dealing with water or my bath time. I generally do it once or twice a week. She is doing this like every day, and she may travel to, some foreign country, and she may travel to some foreign country at a spa that has this unique therapy that nobody has ever heard of, and she's doing her self-work there, right? She's like, it's like, how did you even come up with that, right? Like, where did that idea come from? And that's like something from heaven. And she inspires me on that level. I am not at that level yet, whereby if I see a spa in another country, she'll literally fly to it like the next month, right? It'll take me a year. I'm gonna get there. I'll keep a list, but it may take me like a year or 2 years or something to get there with my schedule. But she has just built her whole life whereby her finances are in flow with her femininity, are in flow with her businesses, are in flow with her family, are in flow with everything that she does in her life. And so that is a stage of femininity that I aspire to grow to. And she's definitely a master. I hope to get there one day. But in terms of up-leveling, okay, I wanted to talk to you now about those tips. This is the last part of the live, and I'm not sure what the time is, but we're going to keep going. We don't have that much either way, but this is the last part of the live. So when it comes to you up-leveling your self-care and your self-growth routines, right? The thing that you want to think about is you want to think about, how can I transcend any environment that tells me I'm not worthy of the way that I believe I'm supposed to be cared for and I'm supposed to be treated. The first step in up-leveling your self-care and self-growth routines is it's an internal thing, right? I know you guys probably looked at this and thought I was going to be sharing a product or whatever else, and we can get into that, and we will get into that. But today we are talking about true up-leveling, what truly causes you to rise in this area. And a lot of times for many of us, our self-care routines or our self-growth routines are stunted by the environments that we're in, physically, spiritually, emotionally, certain relationships. You may not have any Black woman in your life that is really, truly talking about how to care for yourself, how to nurture yourself, and how to engage in activities that give you life. That may not be the environment that you're in. When you get to the second and third stage of your self-care journey and your self-growth journey, you need to be very conscious about transcending the environments that you may be a part of if you cannot escape them right now. So how do you practically do this? The first tip that I have for you guys on this live is that you quit responding to people who tell you X, whatever your self-care, self-growth routine is, right? Whatever activity you want to do, you quit responding to people who tell you something that's against what you've decided for yourself. And I know this is easier said than done. That's why this takes a certain amount of work. What you do is, like, let's say for many of you, you may be married or you may be in a long-term relationship. And your significant other or your man may be like, what do you want to do? you know how much money that is? This is going to take this, or this is going to take that, or whatever else, right? You may have a really intimate relationship that is against you taking care of yourself in the way you know you need to as a woman. And so when you are dealing with that situation, one of the things that you don't need to do, you don't fight with the person. You don't argue with them and tell them, you're not going to tell me what to do and do all of that. That is not, something that I have found to be very helpful in you getting what you want. Believe me, I have tried it, not necessarily with my husband. I do have a husband who is more masculine in nature naturally. So he loves to see me take care of myself. But let's say you're with a partner. I'm not telling you to leave your partner, but let's say you're with a partner and they're not as accommodating, or even for my husband, he has his levels, because I can get a little, up there, right? He has his levels. He'll be like, all right, babe, we could do that, but when are you thinking about it? You know what I mean? The first response is to quit responding. When people tell you their narratives, which they're free to have, about what you need to do for your own self-care, for your own growth journey, you quit responding. You don't argue. You don't fight. You look at them and you may say, okay, babe, thank you for that. Thank you for that consideration. And then you go kiss them on the forehead and you move on about your business. Why? Because when you're at your second and your third level, you have the confidence to begin transcending your environments. Okay. If you're beginning, or if you're starting, then you need to just maybe not even tell anybody right now what you're trying to do. You need to come and say, well, I'm going to take this to Dot, or I'm going to take this to Lyndosha's groups, or whatever it is. If you decide to join any of my groups or any of my courses, or if you just watch me every day on Instagram or social, you come over here if you're a beginner. But if you're in stage 2 and 3, you should have done enough inner work whereby you're able to gather your composure when people may present ideas that don't align with who you are. And you don't lose your femininity, you don't lose your grace, you don't lose your gratefulness, you don't get out of, control when you're generally in these two areas. So the first way I would suggest moving from 2 to 3, or when you're up leveling, is quit responding. Quit responding. Number 2, in terms of up leveling your self-care and your self-growth routines, is you need to fix your internal dialogue and your internal energy. Now, I know that I have no responses to this. Love it. Yes. That no response, very good. I want to also bring balance. If you are a woman who struggle with silence, right, and you feel like you've been silenced a lot and you never talk to anybody, because if you're younger, you're a beginner, then you need to come and you still need to find a safe space to find your voice. At some point, you may need to articulate it. But remember, I'm talking about up leveling. So these are for my stage 2s and stage 3s. If you're coming in, I'll make sure to post this on my page so you can go back and, if you missed that portion of the live, to understand what I mean. Stage 2 and stage 3, the next thing you do is you fix your internal dialogue and you fix your energy. As I was stating, I know I have a wide range of women who attend my events and who watch my lives and who take my courses. Okay. Some of you are extremely spiritual. You are very grounded in your relationship with God and or a higher power. Not everyone is a Christian, but most people know that I am a follower of Christ. I'm a disciple or a student of Christ. I have women who are very grounded in that. And I also have women who are not. You're more practical. You're like, oh, here we go with this energy stuff. What in the world? And you're uncomfortable with that, right? So what I want you to think about is energy is first a scientific word, right? It's a word that you come across in physics, which no matter if you believe in God or not, most of us believe in science and have interacted with a science course at some point in our education if you're American. And energy in the scientific world literally is a word that means to have the strength and vitality required to sustain any activity, physically or mentally, right? That's all energy means. So if our world has kind of taken you like, ooh, I don't know about this energy thing, And I want you to reground it in science. That's all energy is. It's the ability to have the vitality to execute something. So when you are up-leveling your self-care and your self-growth routine, you have got to have a certain amount of vitality, a certain amount of vigor, a certain amount of internal dialogue. This sounds like self-control. Yes, a certain amount of self-control. That is a great word. A certain amount of self-control in order to execute what you know are your internal are your desires for your life, for the life that you want to create. And so, I try not to get caught up in all the spiritual stuff. So just reground yourself. If you hear me say energy, reground yourself in the definition, the scientific definition of it, or the one you get from physics. Those of you who are cool with the word energy, hey, we're together. We'll be cool with it. So in making sure that you up level, or in seeking to up level your self-care and your self-growth routines, you are naturally going to come across quote unquote haters, right? So in hater proofing your self-care habits or your self-growth routines, or let's say somebody's not a hater, but they just don't understand it. They've never been exposed to it. You're going to come across a gamut of external factors that try to stop you from getting to your next level. So, you have to make sure your internal dialogue remembers these things. Number one, you tell yourself, this is about my relationship with me. Self-care, self-routine, self-care and self-growth is about you. This is about my relationship with myself, not my relationship with others. Okay, we'll get to others, right? We'll get to others, but everything starts first with you. It starts with my relationship with myself. So when others are hating, or they don't understand, or they trying to talk you out of it, if we're at that second and third level where we're up leveling our self-growth and our self-routine, we're transcending this environment, or we're learning how to transcend this environment if you haven't. And we don't respond. We listen, we hear them, and we move on about our business and do what we want to do. Why? Because we're grown women. We're grown women and we can. And so that's the first thing you do. Repeat to yourself, Lyndosha, this is about you. Tamara, this is about you. I think Sharnae, you came in. Sharnae, this is about you. This is about my relationship with myself, not my relationship with others right now. Okay? The next thing is you begin to invest, right? You begin to invest in something in your life that nourishes you, gives you life, or if you need to self-grow, you begin to surround yourself with environments. Maybe it's online first before you start coming live with people or whatever else, or building that physical community of people. Maybe you're coming on live first and you have your daily time when you're investing in your mindset and you're investing in your emotional health. Okay. And so those are my tips for up leveling your self-care and your self-growth routine. The two biggest things you're going to need when you're up leveling, right? Because it gets tricky in these in-between stages when you're going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or 3 to 4. It can get tricky. Sometimes you will hover back and forth. That's okay. It's normal. We're human. I think I'm solidly at 3, but I hovered between 2 and 3 for at least almost a year. It just took a while for me to ground myself in, I don't have to respond when people don't agree with what I want, right? I don't have to engage with it. Because I came from a background where you tell people what you want to say and you da-da-da-da-da. So for me, I had to learn how to pull back. If you came from a background where people ran all over you, then you may have to learn how to speak up. So take what I'm saying and apply it to your life. You guys get what I'm saying. But the two things you're going to need to do this work of up leveling is you're going to need great boundaries. Okay. And then you're also going to need a place where you feel like you can be safe and you feel like everyone in the room kind of is going the way you want to. I had to really, really connect with a community of women who saw themselves living a certain lifestyle and were not afraid to express it. They were further ahead of me, right? And so that's what I want to just make sure that I offer to you guys, to let you guys know that one of the communities that I recognized I needed in my own business and in doing this work publicly for you guys is that I needed a space just for you guys to talk about self-care and self-growth, right? Not for the money, not for the relationship with the marriage or how to deal with your man, but we needed a space that was very rooted and grounded in us as women coming together, talking about what gives us life, what nourishes us, and what also allows us to shift our mindsets and our emotions. And so I want to start and grow a community around this topic alone. And I said, of course, because this is a beginner thing for me. So when you're a beginner, you start small and you have fun. So I was like, okay, Lyndosha, how can you start small and have fun with this, right? Because I'm doing what I'm telling you guys to do. So I may be at level 3, but there are still certain things in my level 3 that I'm a beginner at, in terms of finances or businesses or whatever else. So it's always good to be humble enough to be a beginner, because you're going to always have to be a beginner no matter how advanced you are. That's one of the things my mentors have taught me. So I wanted to start just a 4-week self-care and self-growth intensive. If this intensive is successful, you guys seem like you want it, then we are going to eventually turn it into a course that I will launch at least every year. I know that, we may have to do it every quarter, depending on who decides to sign up. But this intensive, the first month intensive, is going to start at the end of this month, at the end of July. I know I'm going to drop the pre-work for the course for you guys to begin prepping on July the 25th. So I'll drop the pre-work on July 25th, and we will more than likely I'll film live for 4 of the sessions. We'll film 4 of the sessions on Zoom live. And of course, we'll do a Q&A every week. It'll probably be like an hour 15 minutes. And I would like to do those on lunch on either Wednesdays or Fridays, depending on what works for you guys. And then I will also add 3 to 4 recorded sessions in this intensive. And I would also love the recorded sessions will be kind of every week, and whenever I'm doing a class or anything, after you guys participate and give me your questions, I generally will film a recorded session to address your questions in more depth, right? So that will be the 3 to 4 recorded sessions that you will have after our live sessions. And I also want to do a meetup with those of you who are in Atlanta or you're close to Atlanta. It'll be the last weekend in August, right? So the pre-work will drop July 25th if you decide to become a part of this 4-week intensive on self-care and self-growth. We will go into more detail about, of course, how to up-level your self-care and self-growth routines. In this intensive, I will definitely share products and places and all of that kind of stuff. We'll unload those goodies there. I like to keep it more, in a closed container, in a safe space, because we notice the internet, amen? So that's what we're going to do. And then the price. So from now until Friday, I'm going to do an intro price for the month-long intensive. And it's going to be $497 just for the month-long intensive. That will also get you into the dinner. You'll have to pay for your dinner if you come to the dinner the weekend of August 26th through the 28th. You'll have to pay for your dinner, but of course you'll come into the dinner. And then after the 72-hour intro price, which it will go away on Friday, right? So after business on Friday, the $497 will go away. You can still join, but the price will increase. And so I just wanted to go ahead and put that out for you guys. We'll be talking about it more on my stories, and I may do another live or 2. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I enjoyed talking with you. Okay, you guys, have a good day. Bye.